What's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Black Crypto. Hey, we gotta talk right now. We gotta discuss what's actually happening. You know what I mean? I've recently published 44 plus pages of the state of the ecosystem. You can find it on my website. It's not for sale, but it's also not free. So if that's of interest to you and that's something you'd like to read, we can go beyond the charts and really get a fundamental breakdown that you're only going to get from here. None of your Muppet made maxis are, have this kind of offering for you, right? You can't go to any of your Muppet made maxis and find a state of the ecosystem type address on any project that they're covering in particular. They tell you about blockchain, but they don't break it down to you in terms of what's post blockchain. For some of y'all that are having an issue with, reading this, is literally just expand your screen size, make it the length of the screen, and booyah, you can dive right through the entire thing. You know what I mean? This is as well too. It's like this is the only consumer report of its nature discussing the viability of post blockchain in market, and as well, opportunities within market segments. So if that's of interest to you, that's what you're going to want to read, because it'll kind of also spell into what I'm going to allude into as far as the sixth industrial revolution, right? Like this leads into that. It doesn't even remotely discuss, beyond the expanse of the fifth industrial revolution. And what's wild is, like, I don't overwhelm you, the reader, by getting into it. It's just, but like, once you prep for it, then you'll be ready for like my next publishing. This is not a game. Like, I enjoy the research. I love writing. So like, you're in for a treat. If you're not following me on Twitter, yo, it gets juicy. It gets hot on Twitter. Like, I spare no expense in terms of my opinion. Like, I give you raw, unfiltered Big Black Crypto. And, I'm not sugarcoating it, as pinned to my profile, right? Like, at any given time, like, I've got probably about 6,000 eyes on me just from my Twitter list alone. Let's take a dive into the analytics. I don't sugarcoat that, right? Like, the eyes are on it. Eyes are on it. People have read it. These are the sentiments going around right now. Like, Uncle Truth knows it. I agree. Blast off is imminent. These are the things that you're going to find in this next article that I've written. If you get a chance, you can go ahead and check out the Wavy Aiders PIA 4 class Holocore investors. This is a group that I've made for the individuals who want to network. It's a place where, those of us who are learning can become educators in this space simply by immersing ourselves in these spaces. You can also catch me on IG. I rarely post here, but I do share my opinion. I don't hide how I feel about my opinions. And you might also see some of the things that I've discussed with, in terms of companies that I've tried to help, and as well government agencies I'd like to help. And if you're not familiar with the capybara effect, by all means, check it out. It's something that you might find if you go treasure hunting for gems through my Twitter. Yes, you should go treasure hunting for gems on my Twitter if you haven't. If you want to get a little bit of beta action, I've also got a group on Hilo under Big Black Crypto. You can find the group, or you just hit me up on Twitter, and by all means, I'll send you an invite. It's open. I want people to access some of the beta opportunities for some of these apps, because guess what? This is where mass migration is happening. This is where you're going to see iteration meeting integration, in which case, as these apps start to create more opportunities for users like ourselves, you're going to see, hey, what's this over here? Streaming. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a game. Like, it's for real. The mass migration towards post-blockchain serverless states is happening. So, by all means, if you want to check it out, I'm going to start posting exclusively to here first. So this audience will get catered to, and then, the other audiences will be catered to. Right now, there's no paywall, so I can literally dictate where I want to publish to first, and sort of enjoy who I selectively share with. Obviously, everyone will get access to it, but it's just like, hey, guess what? For the next like 4 hours, only y'all get to see, this article that's not even been discussed yet. So little things like that. Also, too, shameless plug. I recently just listed one of my first art pieces that I've owned for quite some time on OpenSea. I look forward to when I'm able to share more opportunities to sell, to buy, to show, art in all its forms, in all its glory, via Holochain. That's something that's going to be discussed in this video as well. And also too, again, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, by all means, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because it's going to get juicier. The coverage is about to get juicier. Everyone's got videos, but who's got the fundamentals? Your boy, Big Black Crypto, like Salt Bay, baby. So let's get it popping. Happy Hollow Monday. Haps and beta are like outstretched wings. The mass migration to a post-blockchain state is viewed largely as positive. The most aggressive forecast I've charted in relation to market cap growth for HOTUSD is to surge by 146.5% by the end of 2023. Now again, this is not financial advice. You are responsible for any and all decisions you make. Do not blame me for any of this. I've been eyeing market. I write and study market. I don't give out buy or sell signals. I move in singularity of myself. So again, you hear big numbers, your eyes get wide. But remember, everything has a price, and if you can't afford it, don't play with money you can't afford to play with, right? Like this is big boy shit. Don't play games. This is business. So on that note, disclaimer aside, I'll probably read another disclaimer just to reiterate that this isn't financial advice, so nobody can tag my ass. Again, outstretched wings are the embodiment of the mass migration that come from server-based systems to serverless agent-centric opportunities in market. Heights that seemed somewhat unattainable are visibly within reach. Post-blockchain frameworks, architecture, and regenerative economics pertaining to post-scarcity models are too academic for most circles within crypto discussions. Holochain is identified as an emerging technology independent of blockchain and PIA4, France's relance and recovery plan. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, PIA4, the relance and recovery, is France's digital approach to economic recovery from COVID, post-pandemic. So they don't want to wait for 2030. They want 2030 today. That's why they've committed 100 billion, which is why the IMF is also, contributed. Remember, the IMF Trinity, all three bodies have also committed 650 billion. But hey, let's keep diving into it. I'm not playing no games. I'm not sugarcoating it. This is word for word. The culture and creative industry, CCI, were selected to be part of the competition themes. Many technologies are increasing structuring for the ICC sector. Immersive technologies, virtual reality and augmented reality, big data, artificial intelligence, blockchain, holochain, 3D printing. What you're not contextualizing is 5IR, 5th Industrial Revolution, transitioning towards 6th Industrial Revolution. But again, it's sad, but I dropped out of political science because they were never going to teach me any of this. I could have went through university all 4 years, never covering any of this. So one of the reasons why I dropped out from my political science degree is because I did not like the business model. I could sit there and just identify the business model of what I wasn't being taught and what I was being positioned for. And this is one of those examples, these coming of age moments. Like, this is just analysis and abstraction on my own part based on my own research. So, I'm not trying to bore you, but I just have to put that in perspective, right? Like, you can get a degree, great. But again, you should also be able to make your own analysis on your own, formulate your own opinions. It's beyond just parroting simple information. Like, what are you observing? What are you seeing? What are you noticing? I'm noticing on France's part commitment towards the 6th Industrial Revolution. That's what I see. That's what I see. What's your country doing? What's the plans in your area of the world? What are they saying? You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna have typical conversations like this out in the open. It just is what it is. Post-blockchain is holochain in France. Post-blockchain is holochain, and France just committed 100 billion euros to recovery and relance plan. See, your maxis never loved you. Think about that. For the last 10 months or more, they've never once discussed post-blockchain, yet the world has been steadily planning for the shift for well over 20 years. Please transcend beyond scarcity paradigms, as they can lead to decision impairment and cognitive decline over time. This is bigger than Bitcoin. It's bigger than blockchain. I think that might be like the new, that might be the new slogan. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is bigger than Bitcoin. It's better than blockchain. Okay, hold on. One more time. This is fun. Ooh. Okay. This is bigger than Bitcoin. It's better than blockchain. Oh my, I could have fun making like silly radio voices all day. We are positioning ourselves for the 5IR, 5th Industrial Revolution, and more poignantly, to thrive in the 6IR, 6th Industrial Revolution. Possible emerging GPTs in the 6th Industrial Revolution include nanotechnology, biotechnology, quantum computing, and AI. People don't contextualize eras of innovation. Around this time, the 6IR is major discussion in academic circles, and iterations are innovating towards the 6th wave of innovation. So, you know, where do I get these abstractions from? 2017, ICO gets launched. Okay? What were the kind of conversations happening around those time periods? I don't just do research. I don't just, hey, what did I see here? What was a main, how can I describe it? What was a relative, thought amongst leaders at that time, right? What would they have discussed? What would they have learned? What would be principles applied to their interest in changing the world? And if you don't contextualize, principles that they're learning or that they're discussing, because remember, they're still very much, leading the frontier of technological development. But at the same time, too, what are they learning? And, you have to find them in stages in which they're students still. And this is one of those areas that's easy for me to identify their learning process in terms of where the founders become the finders. And when I say finders, I mean like they've discovered a new not only a new technology, but as well as solutions to obvious pain points that could have been addressed years ago. So this is where that comes from. This is unique to me and my observations that you're not gonna see nowhere else. Just saying. And there's many more of these that I have, but I'm just like, that's for me. That's for me. So, hello, if you don't realize what you're holding on to, I hope at some point all of this resonates deeply. The current competition structure represents a new competitive format for organizations. The more agile, the more neural. Like symbiosis between user, software, and device become agnostic, interoperable as one, yet individual of each other. This isn't just PaaS or satellite encryption. Plethora of use cases aside, there's a deep appreciation on the author's part for the cyber-physical realism of a responsive network premised on being utile and purposeful. Economics regenerate faster on post-blockchain frameworks. Post-COVID, digitally enhanced recovery strategies are the global shift forward. Here we examine opportunities for Hollow's fleet of haps. The capybara effect in full swing takes us to the precipice of flight. Wind beneath the outstretched wings, momentum of the current scene will carry us to unfathomable heights. Abstractions are uniquely that of the author's perspectives, and this is that disclaimer we were talking about before. A BIGBLACKCRYPTO.ETH exclusive. Yes, that's my website, www.BIGBLACKCRYPTO.ETH. That's mine. Everything else is a fraud. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. There are referral links at the bottom of the article. I put the fun back in the fundamentals, and we're about to recap and contextualize the month ahead. So, These Muppet, I gotta say this, I enjoy, this is one of my favorite lines, man. These Muppet-made maxis aren't made men. They're the marionettes. They are middle peasants among even the wealthiest of syndicated puppets. They aren't plugged into project developments or interest in technology, so let's get it. We beat the maxis. Oh, you know what I mean? So there's 5 weeks left in the lead up into the Wave 8 deadline for PIA 4. October 15th applications could see anywhere from 600,000 euros to 5 million euros in life cycle funding. Haps are built like bullion. The right hap is gold. Seriously. Some of these haps are gold. They are literal gold. You reevaluate what you reevaluate. But 2 of them are already doing seeding. Okay, so you don't have to believe me. But if you ain't got money to play with, it's a different conversation for those who play in seeding opportunities. Who take advantage of post-seeding opportunities. This is a different game. There's levels to this. Some of these conversations are above heads, and they're not for everybody. They're even above me. But I can have them because I know Wagwan. Mandem, don't know. Brap. Again, if you check on my website, you're gonna be able to find out which ones via my consumer report, the only one on market of its kind. Holo, the state of the ecosystem, Holochain, hot US Dizzle, and you'll find out which of the haps are poised to IPO at their convenience. Also, if you want to check out more of my socials and just get access to the various links specific to me, you can check me out right there at my WLO link. I have Big Black Crypto, and you can subscribe to more socials there. So now let's get into the nitty gritty of things. As far as Holo and Holochain goes, we've got forecasted for 4 months of pressure and 930 billion of expressed interest. I don't know how else to put it to you. You're not ready for this conversation. It's fight me for this. You can fight me for this. I think we're headed to a super cycle. Fight me. Fight me. Fight me. I'm not kidding. I think we're headed towards a super cycle. And I think that super cycle high could see us reaching $2.29. Worst case scenario, and I'm charting this as a bull cycle low at 22 cents. And also charted for me, I also have charted as well as 57 cents. So it's kind of like a median between averages. Again, if you want to check out where these fundamentals lie and how I'm able to make such predictions, the only reason why it seems odd is because I'm the only one making them. I'm also the only one supporting their statements with adequate research. And what 9 times out of 10, I don't get questioned. I don't have people like challenging it. And what's wild is that people do their own research and then they want to know about my research. But I'm like, hold on. But there's confirmation of that though, right? Like there's accuracy in what I'm saying. It's just my numbers are a little bit higher. I do full evaluations of market, and it just keeps getting bigger. This is not traditional markets, right? Like this is if you know how models stack and where segments are intersectional, that changes the scope of things. You got to cast a bigger web. There's levels to this. So it's amazing what a little good news can do. State of the ecosystem, 40 plus pages of consumer insights on Holochain, high US Dizzle, openly sourced, publicly available, not for sale, not free, openly sourced, publicly available. I had to correct myself and work on my phrasing. Beat all the media and the maxis to the punch. Get to reading it first. This is bigger than Bitcoin. It really is bigger than blockchain. Again, if you're not up for it, like I'm being real with you, this is a serious read. It's 83.84 minutes. It's over 20,000 words. It's juicy. It's juicy. I might at some point just make a book out of it. I've got enough for a book, to be honest, at this point. Right now, beta 2 apps are open for seed investing. We've discussed that the website makes makeovers look great for everyone. So if you haven't gone through the different apps within the ecosystem, you'll discover the majority of them aren't playing. Like, it's ramped up. We're getting ready for the deadline. October 15th is less than 5 weeks away. And literally, the majority of the apps have all redone their websites to present the best of themselves for the decision makers within the committees of PIA4. So it's for real deal. And I think one of my insights that I did not know is that 27 trillion is the payment as a service, with 4.6 trillion of that up for grabs in the migration to small to medium enterprise. But inversely, there's another 27 trillion of loss across the board that's not discussed. So size of market and loss in market represents 54 trillion of serviceable opportunity. And I want people to grasp this, right? Like, you got to first distinguish Holo from Holochain and then marvel in how a good business and ecosystem is supposed to operate. You know, Holochain does it better than most. There's also the possibility that we see a grand super cycle to come, and that being reflective of species-wide learning. Every country's need for an increase in secure digital infrastructure for state and citizen means that we won't see a decline in demand for decades to come. Secure networks start with securing end users, and you know, I theorize that, you know, you could see 1 to 2 trillion in market cap in 20 years, but 3 if we're lucky. There's a lot of opportunity in these segments. Again, it's the only consumer report on market of its kind of the ecosystem that is Holochain, and it's written by a consumer. I'm independent. I'm not bought. I'm as biased as the bags I hold, but I'm not owned. I'm not NASDAQ, Bloomberg, Forbes, Cointelegraph, Decrypt. Ain't none of them called me. Okay, this is mine. This is exclusive. I'm breaking this. We having fun. Now, the other thing I want to break down to y'all is, this is from Art himself. He's discussing nearing full-featured alpha, security hardening, and audit will need to be completed before we call something beta. We have already retained the audit firm in readiness. I'm shooting for a release ready to be called beta in the next few months. Holo hosting an early alpha release of hosted apps on Holoports. Needed security hardened, audited Holochain plus hardening Holofuel hosting currency, hosting infrastructure and reserve accounts, targeting beta before end of 2021. So that's in relation to Holo hosting, right? It's important to understand, right, when we talk about distinguishing Holo from Holochain. Like, Holochain apps can be in beta. Some of them have been in beta for over a year. But as far as Holo hosting, it's in alpha, it's nearing beta. And it's important not to confuse the two. And as well, it doesn't change much for as far as the sentiments towards it. These are minor things as far as, you know, where they are, because think about it. They're hardening Holofuel and the delivery of it. But remember, the devs have already turned over Holofuel to the host. So what does that say? It says we're nearing it. And as well too, we're at the tail end of Q3. So I mean, we're nearing that. And as well, it's honestly a small thing. It's a small thing for me, simply because, do you announce beta before securing more funding, or do you announce beta after you've secured funding and have more funding that you can commit to it? So all these people that are new to the space, that aren't familiar with business and how business is done, they're gonna want, oh, okay, you know what, oh, this part of it's not in beta, and people are nitpicking, but they're not contextualizing that they're positioning themselves for life cycle funding throughout, you know, the transition from 5IR to 6 IR, right? So if that's not grasped in the totality of things, they're gonna lose insight of why that's really insignificant. So whether, as far as the hosting is in beta, you know, in October or end of 2021 or even at the beginning of 2022, changes nothing. It changes nothing. It is the most insignificant thing to gripe at because of where they are, where they're headed, and realistically imagine how little, like, you don't even need to spend, like, one of the arguments people have is over marketing, right? You don't need to spend anything on marketing if you've secured life cycle funding and then you decide that, okay, we're hardened by 2021 and we can roll into beta. Like, don't get caught up in trivial conversations, right? Like, there's some people aren't familiar with business, period. They don't understand what it's like to do business. So if it's not familiar to them, they're going to complain or find things to gripe about, right? Humans are fickle creatures. We associate comfort with known reference. This is uncomfortable. It's new territory. So what's normal for people to do is to gripe. It's a human response. Don't get caught up on it. We're post-blockchain. We're not caught up on that stuff. So this is the other thing, right? Like, the founders are super duper transparent. I'm so content. I just happened to get into the project probably around February, and I noticed that this is where they were in the cycle of things, and I was like, oh, okay, yo, I could jump on board. And here you're going to see 90 days of intense pressure signals a break of what is forecast as to be waves of leaps pressuring upsides with a low high of 11 cents, a fair projection of 22 cents, and a super cycle top of $2.20. Like, and you can see right there, that's one of the first big upticks, and there's going to be more upticks to come. Post-blockchain gold rush, the global shift, velocities in innovation, the momentum is one that's hard to disregard. I wonder who will double spending in the next 6 months, as far as, the Ministry of Culture, or 100 BN to 200 BN, or will NSA Cyber, up their play from 120 BN to 240 BN, plus requisite spending from government contractors. Like, we've seen Google, up to 30 BN. We've seen Microsoft up to 30 BN just for security alone, right? So it's understandable, right? If we want to be competitive in this space, it's not just about, okay, we've made a commitment to some degree. It's no, we're matching. Okay, this is what China spent. This is what the Asia Pacific has spent. We are matching. You got a good leg up on us, and now we want to play tag. We're catching up, and that's what should happen. So in the next 6 months, pay attention in this space and see who starts spending. Also pay attention to government contractors upping their spending, because what that means, what that signifies to them, is what their commitments are. If I spend 30 billion of my money and the government's spending 120 billion, why wouldn't I spend 60? Position myself to capture more of 240 if the government contracts exist, right? You're gonna make your money regardless, but pay attention to this, because that'll give you those, like, very bullish indicators. I want to highlight, as far as in the hype spotlight, September 9th, coming up very soon. I would set your reminder. I got the link posted here. It's for the ecosystem session, the Internet of Energy Network. What makes these guys very unique is that it's an interconnected system of mini grids, and that they facilitate transactions within and between local energy ecosystems, from the appliance level to energy generation, storage, and consumption. I love them because based on my readings, there's expressed interest for plans to have capacity out to 2064. So this is one of the reasons why whenever I talk about Ion, it's like, oh, they're one of the only apps with plans to, run through 2064, and it's a very sincere, point that there is to go beyond 2050, right? A lot of countries have plans as far as like, in similarity to like the Paris Accord or the Kyoto Accord, like their environmental pacts typically just 2050. And in certain parts of the world, their plans are 2064, and they're aiming for that distance. And this is where Ion is in a unique position as, facilitating transactions within and between mini grids. They're literally one of the few apps that actually have a life plan that extends beyond 2064. So it's why government support and cross-continent support exists. Major opportunity for bilateral trade and access to electrical grids for consumer and enterprise and state. This I seldom discuss in detail, but as an extension of redgrid.io, if you're interested in the post-seed investing opportunities, head on over to redgrid.io's website to inquire further. That's the best way to express interest. So again, reminders, set for the next ecosystem session. It's September 9th, and you can hit that link right there to set your reminder. Also, if you want more information, you get over to ion.tech for the best info. And if you also want to follow them on Twitter, you can also check them out on ion_tech. They're about Holochain, YouTube's next ecosystem session. You can check them out there. Now, let's dive into U.S. trade interest. I was trying to tell folks about expressed U.S. interest. I read InfoSec docs from research firms that discuss tech and trade in Chapter 5 of 581 pages. They speak of holochains, quantum framework, and innovation leaps. They even discuss assembling a quantum corpse and balancing trade. That's a good sum of the institutional interest expressed. U.S. and Gov contractors, this is what I was talking about, the 180 billion. You know what I mean? So you got the 120 billion from the DHS or NSA, just U.S. government, the gov, feds, the fettuccine. And then you also have the IMF. That's put up 650 billion between the IMF bodies, the Holy Trinity. That's what I call them. They the three bodies. They make money go around. They the SDR. If you want to talk about drawing rights, the SDR begins with the IMF. And then you also got from France 100 billion. And that's how you arrive at that magical number of $930 billion of expressed interest. Again, who else is going to give it to you like this? Who else is going to have an adult conversation with you like this? I'm doing my best here. So with Holo, another opportunity that's not discussed as well is satellite infrastructure. You're talking about a compound annual growth rate of 76.6% during the period of 2020 to 2028 to a cumulative of 195.11 billion. Holochain stands to eat. Holochain stands to eat. There is 1% in anybody's pie, and it's game over. It's game over. And the best part is Holochain is going to do that in multiple pies. Now, if you're wondering where some of this good news, like, hey man, there's like this crazy 11% pump, right? Well, some of that had to do with the Obama effect. Obama just doesn't follow anybody. You run the math, right? At 589,000 followers, he's following 589 people, and he's got 129 million followers. President Barack Obama is special. He's got I can't explain for the life of me, where this connection comes from. Maybe a packet, just lines on his desk. You know what I mean? I don't know how this relationship works or makes sense. I can't make sense of it. But I do know that with President Obama, he's a reader. He's a reader. So if something ends up on his desk, he's reading it. Like he also, as far as like innovation in tech, like he's always been a planner, right? So I remember before leaving the office, one thing that he left for the administration to follow after him was a emergency, a pandemic playbook. Now, whether it got utilized or not, we can discuss that later on. But he's a planner. He's a planner. So I can't. People are gonna take issue with this. I'm not here for the ego tripping and the politics. I'm gonna focus on what's meaningful to discussion. Okay. And by the way, I'm an Obama fan, so I'm not here for any of that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. But I just wanna touch on why this is cool. So again, let's shove our egos aside and have an adult conversation. One, it's good because it signifies elite dignitary interest in the project. Two, it confirms intelligence reports as true U.S. interest in Holochain. Three, it validates the project on a global scale because out of all the presidents, you've got one of the more academic-minded ones who can grasp in entirety what the project does and why it's special. So, four, it's an incredibly good look when a former president, especially former President Barack Obama, follows your founder and vice versa. Because, again, he's got a less than 0.156769% follower rate. He doesn't just follow anybody. You actually have to be doing something, be special, and be purposeful in your exploits. So, for me, that's where I saw validity and value in it. And again, not here to get caught up in other people's emotions. I'm here to do business. Yeah, let's do business. Holochain, Postblockchain. No one knows the nature of Art and Barack's Twitter friendship, but it's been a large factor into the 11% gain in market. It was representative of a confirmation of U.S. interest in Holochain as the backbone to post-blockchain infrastructure. It validates assertions of discovery. Emotions aside, it validates the statements I've made in the past. As per the NSA, hash-based signatures. Hash-based signatures are based on the well-understood security of inverting a hash function. These systems are also fairly well studied in cryptologic literature, and analysis suggests that these systems can be secure when well parameterized. However, the stateful versions have a limited number of allowable signatures per public key and require the signer to maintain an internal state. Because of this, they are not suitable for all applications. NSA CSD expects that the stateful signatures LMS XMSS will be standardized by NIST and NIST SP 800-208 and approved for NSS solutions for certain niche applications where maintaining state is not a problem. At the present time, NSA CSD does not anticipate the need to approve other post-quantum cryptographic technologies for NSS usage, but recognizes circumstances could change going forward. Now, I argue going forward, times have changed and rapid expansion into verticals of commerce specific to SCF, ISV, SaaS, and PaaS are necessary. Where there is no funding, there should be no less than 200 billions. Anything less will result in falling out of top 10 status amongst GDP leading nations by 2030. Trillions are being left on the board by not making the radical transition to post-blockchain infrastructure. So again, I'm not refuting what they're saying. I'm simply saying that they might want to review the advancements made in the technology and more so understanding the scalability aspect of it. The more users on board, the faster it scales. So again, you only need to hold on to the information that you actually need, and you don't need to hold on to the entire chain. So it would be interesting to see what happens when the NSA starts to turns the dialing and gets clued in. Just things are you know what I'm saying? Things are they're moving a lot faster, and we're not moving at a blockchain's pace anymore. Just want to throw that out there. So, and as per the NSA continued a variety of factors including confidence and security and performance, interoperability, systems engineering, budgeting, procurement, and other requirements could affect such decisions. So remember when I said like Holochain knows how to do business? I don't see them having an issue should, opportunities for government contracts present themselves, right? Or just being green lit, you know what I mean, for overall use amongst public. I don't see them having any issues. And the other thing too, right? After the hardening audit, imagine the kind of endorsements that they could be getting. Like it's, yeah. And the other thing I want to talk about where there's a great opportunity for Holochain is really in satellite encryption and streaming services, right? Um, you know, if there's an opportunity to address anything, it's something that plagues 138 different countries. And across TV and movie output, as projected, lost subscription and ad revenue totaled 52 billion between 2016 in 2022. So in Canada, that's representative of 400 million per year. So, when we talk about opportunities in market, one thing people tend to leave off of all their analyses are loss in market. So once you start to capture, what gets lost in market, you create more opportunities for yourself. There's almost a duality to your existence, and it's immense value over competition. Another thing too, right? When we talk about trade wars, as ever silent they may be, the tensions on homeland soil are real. The cost of goods can be reduced through innovations on Holochain, entire life cycle funding for proof of life during transport, and who's doing that best? Holocell. There's what happens when people start transacting through the token, and you get HNT like events where suddenly what you're holding is shooting up 40% a day, and that's just normal. That's what's up. But now imagine that on a daily basis, from NFTs to services to 5G to streaming to satellite, supply chain, SCF, PAS, SAS, you know what I mean? Like ISV, like it's what are we really debating here now? What FUD is there to have? You can't tell me everything moves with Bitcoin. Like what? Like fork these nuts. You know what I mean? Like there's over 200,000 ERC20 tokens. But in market we only see 10,100. So when I say fork these nuts, like you can't relate everything to Bitcoin. You can't say everything spins and revolves around blockchain. Like we're not on the same parallels of thought. Like blockchain, post-blockchain, scarcity and cognitive decline, inability to think about anything else in the context of the future and being forward. Post-blockchain, regenerative economy, abundance over scarcity. It's just we're disconnected from it. And when we're better connected, we make better decisions because we don't run around believing in the scarcities of what we see. And things that are scarce are better looked after because we're understanding of how scarce they really are. And that's in reference to resources. Not, there's only this much Bitcoin left in the world. Like, put value in things that are purpose and you won't see humans being made obsolete. You're going to find Bitcoin very poorly suited for the human condition in the transition to the sixth industrial revolution. Mark my words, when we actually sit down and discuss Bitcoin's effect on the human condition in the transition to the sixth industrial revolution, you will see nothing more than an absolute loss in humanity, a digital cotton picking, and I will not reverse on those statements. Where was I? And let's touch on security. In the most pivotal point of global security and record trade inflation on containerized goods, there is not a single politician on this side of the hemisphere that has a post-blockchain platform. Government is decentralizing and they don't even realize it. In 8 to 26 months, the window to greatly reduce attack surfaces closes. Where are we in our transition to a post-blockchain state? Nobody knows, because nobody's had a plan. Nobody's been paying attention. And the developments that have been made, they're fairly behind as far as where they should be. I'm not talking in reference to Holochain. I'm talking in reference to like government infrastructure and overall security of state. I'm not talking about Holochain. I'm talking about your nation, whether it's the USA, Canada, Latin America, parts of Africa. Like, most infrastructure is not secure. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get in and out of government service. I'm not a hacking type, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, our tech is, whoo. I could cite breaches all day, baby. I could cite breaches. So, I say expect U.S. agencies to double spending in order to get to speed, and for bills to be levied favoring requisite spending from global contractors. Expect global contractors to oblige, as the tax incentives and profits, the high ROIs leave little to squawk about. Any question on who's going to be next to invest heavily into post-blockchain, into Holochain infrastructure is 10 months late. So if we're talking about the window, it was originally, they were saying companies had 18 months to 36 months. This is based on one of the reports I read. So if we're going back to the publishing November of 2020, this puts us at roughly about 9 months. And 9 months, 36 minus, so yeah, roughly 9 months and 27 months to get your shit together. If you're not heavily invested in post-blockchain infrastructure, and I'm talking specifically to like diplomats, decision makers, heads of states, owners. It's great for the retail investor. Cool. If you are a retail investor, cool. But I'm just simply saying, like, from a corporate and company perspective, a government perspective, if you're not invested in terms of post-blockchain infrastructure, you're really behind. Like, there's literally 9 months to 27 months to which gaps close, and the margin of profit is significantly lost. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, you're not gonna make money. I mean, you could literally have 92x versus a 30x, right? Do you want to be the guy trying to have a 30x, knowing that everyone else positioned themselves for massive gains 2 years prior to? And like, I'm already positioning myself, for next September. Big business moves, 5xing revenue and output. This is me. So most companies haven't positioned themselves for where they want to be because they don't understand that there's a 6th industrial revolution happening, and they're just aloof out to lunch. We got an election in Canada. None of the politicians have a plan for any form of mass adoption, virtual currency, crypto, digital asset governance, and nothing in that contextualizes where global shift and economic opportunity lay. We're talking about over $70 billion of debt, and we're just going to spend more money and the problems are going to go away. But then there's actual business opportunities that could make problems go away and create opportunities. But unfortunately, Big Black Crypto for Prime Minister, President, I'll even take Anger Translator if they pay me in ETH. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm trying here. If y'all want me to be Prime Minister, y'all drop it in the comments section. Subscribe. I'll run for Prime Minister. Now, mind you, when you go reading through this article, it really is only about 17 minutes, but I'm giving y'all theater right now. So that's why I can say, like, comfortably that a lot of corporations, the majority of the public, like 95%, 96% of the public, even over the next like 9 months, are still gonna be sleep. They're gonna be sleep. They're not gonna be paying attention to this. Why? Because of all the coverage. Remember, if you own the Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners own the publications and media, and all media publications and outlets are influenced, funded, or like literally by some of the biggest monopolized corporations and slush funds and venture capitalists, what do you think is going to make it out of these environments? Like, who do you think is going to come and talk to you about post-blockchain? Nobody. But let's further this conversation. So in some of my research and my readings, one thing that's been really impressive, as far as like, behind the 100 billion for France and commitments, there's also a decluttering and down to rescaling up of Quantum Corp's were part of defense security briefings in January. Again, I don't share these sources because, again, this is publicly available, openly sourced, and I do what I do. You know what I mean? You're welcome to look this up for yourself. I may, put this in the book, sell the book, and then it'll be available for sale. See what happens. It's neat stuff because these discussions have been commonplace since 2015. People think defense strategy is about artillery. Sometimes it's just about reduced trade tensions and people having access to tech that protects their identity, data, and personas. Holochain, high USD, baby. The most effective soft strategies are the ones where boots don't get laced up. It's genius level stuff. US Fed's likely to commit 120 billion to cybersecurity. Already have, baby. See, when I'm writing some of this stuff, I'm prepping these conversations, and these conversations have been had. There's 120 billion going towards cybersecurity. The US has no choice. They have to keep up. Other trade partners or enemies of the state represent legitimate threats to infrastructure, secrets of national security, and of deep personal interest to monetary institutions. So they're spending the money, and not to be outdone by France, they're going to spend $20 billion more just to keep calling it freedom fries instead of French fries. And again, on my part, I really suggest that the U.S. choose Holochain for the infrastructure needs. No cap. Also, if you get a chance, there is a movie release coming out. It's called the Healing the Heroes of 9/11. The Way Forward is directed by Michael Gear. It's to be released on Amazon Prime. And I was put onto this by Holosale Technologies. HST is humbled to have their CEO in an upcoming documentary, Healing the Heroes of 9/11. Is brought to you by 220, produced and directed by award-winning Michael Gear. Help us spread the word of healing. Released the date of September 11th. Never forget, hashtag PTSD, hashtag first responders, hashtag NYC, hashtag the way forward. And I remember where I was on that day, and I look forward to watching this movie and gaining some more insights on just exactly what it's about, and seeing how far some of these individuals have come with the healing, because it really has been lifelong for the healing process for the 9/11 first responders, and it would be nice to see all 9/11 first responders get the support and help they need. And I really do look forward to watching this movie. Moving forward, again, I told y'all this is for real, for real. Understanding outflow and the dynamics of. So I'm a savage. All these maxis are Muppet made, okay? But if you're gonna be Muppet made, guess what I'm gonna call your little armies? Yeah, the Bunk Sock Brigade. Okay, so as yet to be characterized, it's described or defined as a group of loyalists who have pledged fealty to the maxis of made marionettes. They parrot whatever is puppeted to them. So enjoy that one, sorry boys. Maxi marionettes and their bunk sock brigades are so invested into VeChain they'll never admit it's a VIE like Chili's. Investing in only profit structure, the supply chain dynamo should never have gotten foothold in markets when China is closed to foreign investment. China has been getting away with a lot of dirt in the crypto space, I can't lie. I've seen some unforgettable ish. I've learned some ish. Your favorite maxis, the biggest maxis, are on payroll. The syndicate pulls the strings and the Muppets shill in coordinated fashion. Like from a supply chain perspective, so much happens, gets washed before factory to freight forwarder. It's highly suspect in Jianjing. It's important to grasp where the information you get your information gets their information from. I could simply say, like, based on the audit of one of the supply chains I had shipped to me, I could not understand for the life of me why I was getting, shipments from 3 different factories. But then it kind of, it struck home why there was movement, why there was positioning. And it was right around the time of Afghanistan being flipped over to Taliban state. There's 94 kilometers of I'm fucking scared of the Taliban. That's the only thing China fears in this world is a 94 kilometer stretch. Excuse my French, but if there's one thing China fucking fears, it's 94 or is it 91 kilometers of Taliban. There's one, like, that's one thing I can give the US credit for. Again, not trying to paint war in any type of stretch, but remember, I owe you, $2.1 trillion of debt. Regardless, how do I absolve that debt? I stop occupying the territory that I've been standing on for 20 years. I leave it, and then I leave you to defend a porous border and hope that, as far as trade, if you want to monopolize Afghanistan, we'll understand the Taliban's a different breed. It's not the same, right? Separate conversation for another time. I apologize for going off on a tangent. I just love politics, and I don't shy away from business and politics. I just know that for the spirit of what we're discussing, I really want to be concise and considerate of your time. So maybe in the future, but again, apologies. I just want to be considerate of your time and concise in the message of this offering. So again, it's important to grasp where the information you get your information gets their information from. I very rarely source from tertiary. I'm typically considered a secondary source of information or first point of abstraction specific to the fundamental observations I make. So I encourage you to follow upon what you come across. I joke 90% of what you're going to be fed is news that pertains to only Ethereum or Bitcoin. And the moment it has any value, they're going to bastardize it by saying, well, it's only got this much of Ethereum, and why could it be that? It would need this much of Ethereum or Bitcoin and more Bitcoin begets Bitcoin. Is it Bitcoin? But if you ask any of these guys, what does Bitcoin do? It's a speculative asset. It's a medium of exchange. If it is considered a store of value, Then we have to place an adjective on the on what's being stored, and we have to call it transient and volatile, in addition to a medium of exchange of transient volatility. So again, you have to know the conversation that you're having, and chances are, if this person isn't, you got the vocabulary to apply the right attributes to it, Bitcoin's going to be seen as something safe when it's not really. It's not really. It's not really. It's not suitable for the transition to the sixth industrial revolution. It's really bad as a construct for the human condition. Places no value and purpose. It's too easy to cast away. Human life, so to speak. It's different. I don't want to get too philosophical in the mumbo jumbo. Again, another conversation for another time. And as far as mass media really is incapable of speaking of any project in context of said project's unique offerings. If they spoke of blank any coin, they'd have to do actual journalism. I'm independent, so also major publications like NASDAQ, Forbes, NY Times, Bloomberg, they legitimize charity scams by covering projects that aren't doing business. They don't follow up on any red flags. They take their check and they cut the story. No Maxi nor any of the syndicated publications discuss Postblockchain. Why do you think that is? Like, the issue around crypto and digital assets is so much worse than you really understand, as far as like what's gated away from you. Think about this. For a year, this has been gated away from you. What were they going to do? Hide this or disregard it? Willful ignorance or, intent, right? And if people don't think utility has a value to it, like, it's funny, some of the most stern assertions where utility tokens have no value and they won't be worth anything, and it's like, you should pay attention to the way the world is shifting. But that person making these comments in 2019 wasn't contextualizing what phase of their industrial revolution they were in. So again, am I gonna listen to what is it, a Gen Zer, or what do they call them, a Zoomer? Yeah. I'm not saying that we shouldn't listen to them. I listen to everybody, but I also know when I listen to people, I know it's absent from the conversation. I'm like, this person's too young. They don't have a concept of history. They haven't realized that history repeats itself. They don't recognize phases of economy and historical trend. They'll tell you the last 4 years of movement in relation to Bitcoin, but they won't contextualize, the world in context outside of everything in relation to Bitcoin. The world doesn't revolve around Bitcoin. There's other shit going on. And, consider yourself lucky for coming across post-blockchain in the shift towards the sixth industrial revolution. You beat all the maxis. Congratulations. You're here. Congrats. You deserve to be proud of yourself. And so, you know what I mean? It really is a goal to shift the reason why they do this, the reason why they don't talk about post-blockchain, is because there's a goal to minimize the shift in migration. We're not far from quantum computing, and every one of your asymmetrical passcodes are crackable. So the less you know, the more Bitcoin and legacy ERC20s and older settlement systems remain vulnerable. It's not an if, it's a when. So the longer people wait to make these transitions, the more out there is just to crack and hack and take, right? So now, how do you counter outflow? The world's shifting in favor of reduced attack surfaces. I position myself for acceptance of a post-blockchain state. Thought leaders cease to be thought leaders when they muppet from a myriad of strings. Your favorite maxis are marionettes and bunksock brigades. I don't hide how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, this is your typical YouTuber with like over 100,000 followers, and they just do what they're told. They just do what they're told. And then, but this is the puppet master. You know, this is the syndication. You'd be surprised how many of these guys, even though they're puppets, they got the bunksock brigade, and their intent is to literally shill and shit on what they can shit on in order to shill their project or project of preferred choice, whether that's the next rug or just anything in relation to Bitcoin. No matter what they cover, it's to bring it back to Bitcoin. Don't fall for the hype. Don't get groomed. Don't let them proselytize to you, and like see them for who they are and the fuckery that is. Now, one thing that's unique about this, as far as the VIEs in reducing outflow, at a certain point, you're gonna see it happen. You're gonna see U.S. regulators clamp down on foreign investments that aren't, really anything more than topping up of other people's profit structure. No financials means you're not seeing how much is actually transacted through the token based on prior sales. So if that's not happening, how much money is on the outside in and being excluded from investors who support VeChain? Because I argue VeChain is probably worth significantly more, but I just don't think what's actually transacted through the token is visible to people to make discerning decisions for themselves. And as far as Chiliz, again, I think Chiliz is just a stupid construct. It's a token minting token service, right? Like, what sense does it make? Yes, a lot of people that have governance tokens. Yes, they crank out protocols. Cool, great. But again, what's stopping a multi-billion-dollar franchise like Juventus or PSG from just doing their own thing altogether, right? Nothing. But again, it's all about who tops it up, right? And who's gets approval to run the project, right? And again, a lot of it comes back down to state party leaders, and if somebody co-signs it, it gets waved in, but that person is going to profit tremendously. So it's not really an open market. Americans, Canadians, everybody else for that matter, you can only invest in the top of the asset. There's no ownership, no real governance, no voting rights. It's God bless. It's God bless, and it's even worse in the crypto space. So, one thing that we saw in China is that, they have a law, and it's the FIL law, it's the Foreign Investment Law of the People's Republic, and it became effective on January 1st, 2020. And what it did was it ushered in a new era of foreign investment legislation in China, and it's still making foreign investment prohibited and restricted in a number of areas through the use of a negative call list. So, until certain things become a two-way street, I really would love to see a change. I would love to see certain things just be done in retaliation. If we can't invest and own in anything that's Chinese, then something like it just has to change, right? Like, you want to invest in this, why do we have to form separate companies altogether? Like, it's honestly one of the most toxic things about investing. Like, it just disgusts me. I want to invest in who's going to be the up and coming, dominating company in China, but then I can't, because I never know what the government's going to do and who's going to take issue with that. Like, Jackie Ma has been missing. He's been quiet. If you see Jackie Ma, you tell, you let me know he's still doing good. We are looking out for Jackie Ma. Praise to the Most High. We hope he's all right. I hope he's golfing somewhere. Where in the world is Jackie Ma, and is he okay? Moving forward, There's also the Blue Sky contest. So Blue Sky Advisory, by the way, Blue Sky is, run, funded, and owned by Twitter. Their advisory board is one that Holo sits on. So if you're wondering about Holochain, just throwing that out there. I hope that's not the first time you've heard this. So yeah, Blue Sky Advisory just put up 300 USD in BTC for a pitch on connecting multiple services. That contest ends, coincidentally, October 12th, days just before the Wave 8 PI4 grand deadline. One thing we want to get to is NFTs on Holochain. Recently, OpenSea was valued at $1.5 billion after Silicon Valley venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz led another round of funding for the company, raising $100 million. NFTs on Holochain's HAP is coming, guys. Did you know OpenSea is worth $1.5 billion? Well then, keep in mind OpenSea's never disabled the right click on their art. So many HAPs who will be the HAP of HAPs to dominate this frontier. Will it be Hum Earth or Hilo, Power Data, Alpha, Holo and Beta HAPs? Every day this painting in my OpenSea collection goes up 1K or higher in value. I've gotten into this new frontier of art commerce with a vintage piece of my own. Again, shameless shill and plug. Oh, I'm guilty of it. I just shamelessly plug my own shit. Oh yeah, baby. But remember, this is a growing space, and for the first time, you as an artist can attribute something to a scaling price, right? People tell you to cite it as low, and it's like, why? Because if nobody buys it, it's whatever. But then 60 days goes by, the cost of ETH goes up, and then all of a sudden, what was a $50 painting is all of a sudden, now it's a $500 painting. For me, it's a little bit more. It's just the quality of art. It's hand painted. It's artisan. But again, what would you rather see? 16 ETH be 16 ETH forever, or 16 ETH over time be of value going forward? If the market retraces, it is what it is. But at the same time, too, it's how do you deny that? So I'm interested to see who's going to be the NFT leader for Holochain, right? We've seen streaming, in the high-low. So it'll be interesting to see what Hum Earth, has in store for people. And as well, what will happen with organizations with like Power Data. Now, the timing for Holo couldn't be better. The market of non-fungible token art has boomed in 2021, swelling by more than 800% from 52 million at the start of the year to 490 million at the end of April. In 2020, there had been just 53,663 unique works of NFT art sold on the 5 largest platforms, according to a new report from Blockchain. Development company Currencies, in which JP Morgan and UBS recently invested. So, hey, I can't lie, man. If she's telling you to sell Holochain, she's not the one. My words, I tell people I don't hold emotions, I hodl bags. So Holochain is the EU Commission Postblockchain solution. PIA4 of Wave 8 deadline in October 15th. Peak innovation velocity is occurring. The Minister of Culture, views it as the quantum leap forward. Relance et dual recuperation. 100 billion in life cycle funding, and now it's HAPS on Holo. In the month of April 2021, the market had expanded rapidly with 151,977 pieces of NFT art sold in 30 days to Thursday. The report said NFTs are so efficient and versatile on Holochain, though. They enable us to envision not just a future of collectibles, but an entire future of ownership that is digital, reliable, and independent of centralized government records. You can read the entire article here as included. And you're like, whoa, hey, that took a turn. I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, well, I've been listening to you. We're all very much tired of paying outrageous gas fees. So again, imagine what the world looks like when we're not being obliterated left, right, and center by exorbitant gas fees that are oftentimes higher than the actual price of the item itself. There's it's gotten to a point where having ETH, you need significant ETH in order to participate in some of the launches. Otherwise, it's just not viable. It's not feasible until it gets listed on exchange. In which case, now you're literally seeing a different class. Like there's a caste in crypto, and literally, if you don't have excess ETH to participate in certain token launches or opportunities, you are considered second class in crypto. And it doesn't matter if you would be willing to spend the money or not. If you have to think twice about whether or not you can afford $200 gas fees on $200 of crypto, this is the class forming that we're seeing. Like the welcome to crypto oligarchs and crypto corporatocracies and new abbreviated terms and definitions and schisms that you're not going to be comfortable with. So you better hope that the collection you're working on right now is ready in time for when they launch the NFTs on Holochain, because you'll probably make a crap ton of money and you'll probably enjoy much more flexible residuals. Like look at OpenSea, take it in. No matter what you do, you can only set for 10%. But then you go somewhere like BSC, Juggernaut, you can set for 30% or more. But BSC NFTs suck. They suck. I said it. NFTs on BSC suck. What do you want me to say? It just, ew. I've tried. I don't like it. As far as industry insights, these numbers don't even account for off-chain sales, transfers that take place through auction houses. As was with Beeple's sale, DappRadar, which tracks blockchain sales, saw that in the second quarter of 2021's NFTs brought in $2.4 billion, slightly above the first quarter's $2.3 billion. The same report found that sales spiked to 111.46 compared to Q1, with the number of active wallets also jumping 151.89% same time period via the Art News. Not relation to Art Brock, the founder of, one of the founders of Holochain, but via Art News website. So again, when people talk about, just simple metrics of analysis, and they talk about NFTs being a big market, understand how much share represents to be captured and just snagged for market by Holochain. Imagine not paying them gas fees. Imagine only paying for when you got a mint. Holochain reigns supreme. And one of the reasons why we don't have to really go out of our way to fight blockchain, we're not, Bitcoin is what it is and Ethereum is what it is. But again, there's so much dysfunction and we're seeing it. We're seeing it, right? I'm going to read this quote and explain some of the dysfunctions that benefit us in the long run, right? We never ask you to fight against anyone, not against national currencies, blockchain currencies, surveillance corporations, since those things will collapse under their own dysfunction. Nobody needs to waste energy fighting them. Quoted from Art Brock, Holochain, Hollow Fuel. And it's right, it's true. There's so much opportunity, our energy is best spent on being productive towards the progress of our own pursuits of the happiness we've defined as being a form of happiness. And it's when you understand that things like I remember people were like, Holochain's better than Tether, and it's gonna do this and it's gonna do that. I don't have to grab my pom-poms and cheerlead, right? I don't have to be like, yay. I don't have to do any of that. Why? Because it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Oh, Holochain's better than Bitcoin. I don't have to cheerlead. I don't have to shake any pom-poms. You know what I mean? And it's when people are like, but it's not BNB. I don't have to be BNB. I just have to let things occur on their own. And what have we seen? I remember people used to throw this shit in my face. And I was like, okay, cool. Guess what? It's 3 for 1. 3 for 1. Check this out. When we talk about Bitcoin, and one of its issues is connection to Tether, right? And well, people are attributing that to the Evergrande crisis in China. It's a conversation you're going to see fairly frequently on Bloomberg, for example. And it's just in relation to what happens when people realize that a lot of the Bitcoin that was purchased was minted on printed Tether or loaned out Tether that was never really in existence to begin with, right? So what does that do to the cost of Bitcoin when it comes time for its price to crash, right? Is the market really worth what it's worth, right? People aren't discussing, one of the only reasons why Bitcoin's probably pumping is it goes beyond El Salvador, and to some extent, if the market can get high enough, then there's this assumption that the Bitcoin held, or that wasn't cashed out at the top at the 80K, would represent to some extent at 100K the ability to resolve specific debts. Well, in relation to the housing market collapse that's imminent, right? Like Evergrande has less than 10% of its ability to repay or satisfy debts. So it's like, whatever news you're not hearing doesn't matter, right? Like if you have stocks, you should pay attention to them, because as far as what happens in China, shit's about to happen, and it's real. Where there's no sugarcoating. But again, I don't have to fight anything. I don't have to get my pom-poms up. I don't have to play cheerleader. I just have to let the dysfunction of these things happen on their own, and you'll slowly see, the outcome of events. And again, it's the man, who is he? That's Art Brock the Gray. I joke, likening him to Gandalf. He's the legend and foreseer of patents. Legend now, back to the chill info updates, SCF, IVO, VAR, ISV, and that's why Docu was proper. Have fun researching. So every now and then too, like, again, I'm about consumer advocacy. I want to encourage people to develop their research skills. So when I drop these little gems there, like, yo, that's gold. Like when I talk about DocuSign, crap, that was a gem. But yeah, it's really, it represents a very sizable market, that challenge. Global adoption is imminent. More hires are to come. They're frequently, I think this last couple of weeks we've seen maybe about 3 or 4 job opportunities created. So they're expanding their team proportionally as well, right? So it's not like they're just adding bodies to take selfies and group photos. Like, these are strategic acquisitions based on the company's needs, and it's exciting to see what they're hiring for and who they're hiring. So again, let's keep this perspective though. You Muppet-made maxis and their bunk sock brigades never loved you. Holo Hot USD Holochain is Postblockchain with 930 BN USD of expressed interested international commits. We did it without hanging a bunk sock lobster over a microphone. Oh, that's harsh. Oh, it's too late to delete it. And here I've tagged the EU, the IMF, the US Gov, and EMA, which is Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, on a 10-year call. So Holo surpasses Solana. I think Holochain gets a Nobel Prize, and I think we see Holosale win future reports. So remember these. Hold me to account, right? In 10 years, I think Holo surpasses Solana. I think Holo and Holochain ends up winning a Nobel Prize for economic sciences, and I see Holosale winning future reports. That's what I think. And I just want to remember this day forever, right? September 2nd. And it's because there really will be a day when Holo surpasses Solana. There's $2 billion in the cap yet between the IMF Trinity, PIA4, and the US government, and 2 top 3 tech firms, high USD, bro. There's 930 BN of expressed interest. Holochain is the post-blockchain destiny of society. No one has articulated this to you serverless, persona, agent-centric data sovereigns. So, you know what I mean? Everybody laughed at me for saying 22 cents was impossible. That a 20 to 30 billion in volume was unlikely. Holochain Holo is going to have a dog level happening. USA just committed 180 billion. France 100 billion. The IMF 650 billion. NSA describes hybridized lattice versus hash, aka Holo. Holochain. I said it was going to have a seat at the table, my friend. 22-cent Holo imminent. Like, do you have any idea just how many people have read the 40-plus page report I wrote? Well, you saw it for yourself. That was roughly, what, 5,600 people, right? You saw that for yourself. So, you know, it's the velocity of innovations long sought have already shifted industry. Best example of this was you go and look at your Google profiles and you remember what it was before then, and it was just a single profile and you had to log into everything as opposed to being able to access things separately, right? Well, that was something they were working on for March, and notice how recently they just cranked it out, and it's because this was a necessary fix to deal with some of the hacks and intrusions of Google Chrome's network, right? And even after they had the fix, they got down to 98 issues. They got 98 issues down to about 12 issues, and you know, things are looking better now. But remember, they premised, you know, the buffer of identity through personas off of Holochain, right? This isn't like it just happened overnight. Like, you know, people are paying attention to what Holochain is about and what Holochain is doing, and it's already shifting, you know, the frontier. Remember, to get Google to do something isn't easy. But remember what Google did in order to stay competitive, as you know, and it was identified as necessary in order to be competitive. And how much is Google worth? Google's worth 1.81 trillion. Okay, 1.81 trillion. So, you know, and you know, how do I know this? Because all I do is research, okay? I am but one of 7.6 million individuals, okay? You know, and that number will resonate to some people, but we're not the same. Like my Uber driver and I were talking about the wealth gap 21 months ago. 7 months ago, I haven't looked back. In 7 months, I mean, somebody had to keep these maxis on their leash. Like I haven't swung. I can't lie. I haven't swung a hammer in 7 months. So, Holochain, HIUSD, Holosale, I'm fully immersed in transitioning to a post-blockchain society. I'm also registered for green tech for ports and terminals. If you haven't done so, I encourage you to do so. Projects that are doing business together. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. Oh my. So I just one rogue nostril here. This has to be said. Projects that aren't doing business together, aren't moving together. I get this a lot of times, right? People like they like to use proximity of association, and they like to link something of insignificant value to something of value, something that doesn't do business to something that does business, right? Like this is why I think Bitcoin is one of like the biggest like parasites. Like if a Ponzi could be a parasite, Bitcoin is that, because people speak of it in similarity where it's like, but it's you know, Bitcoin's gonna have to do 50K first. This does business. It's a different thing altogether. I'm not predicated on nothingness hitting 50K, right? Because other people agreed. that, hey, it is time to put money in, because we all have drank the Kool-Aid. We have all gotten sleepy. We all think that the Bitcoin dictates the future. Okay, 50 grand and we put the money in. No. This does business. Like, the value is had. Its asset backing comes from, its recipe and tokenomics situated around, relationships of transactional interactions. Like, I don't know how to express this. So, I had to kind of put this out there, right? Because somebody was alluding to, oh, well, Holochain and Bitcoin, and no, not Bitcoin, Holochain and BTT or BitTorrent, move in unison, and they're pretty similar. I agree. Charts can have similar dynamics because of similar price points and similar caps, but they are in their entirety completely different projects with different use cases, different utilities, and one is garnering significant government and institutional interest. One is shifting, societies, flipping paradigms, but it's shifting societies towards a new industrial revolution. You can't piggyback that shit, to be honest with you. So that's where that comes from, as far as like encouraging people to be aware of falsehoods and misinformation. The Holochain is independent of the fuckery. Holo is about to go back to back. IUSD is fielding considerable interest as a post-blockchain solution to scaling current paradigms. It's moving independent of other projects. It's important to highlight that. It really is moving independently of other projects. Once Bitcoin retraces, there's only one way to bail Evergrande out of their debt and to avoid further digging into deals made via Tether and Bitcoin. It's, kudos to the PBOC, the People's Bank of China. They're gonna cover up as much of this shit as they possibly can. But remember, when the housing markets collapse and shit hits the fan, there are documents that are going to escape the mainland, and it should be interesting to see how much is actually contained. This represents a very sincere outflow potential for Bitcoin to enhance other stock positions once more market matures. For the first time, the world, whether cognizant or not, has the ability to crash the Chinese housing market in one quick drop. Out of all the fiscal software strategies, I know that this is the one China has never had an answer for. If Bitcoin were to hypothetically retrace, there is no salvaging the housing crash to come attributable to Evergrande and loans had via Tether. I would be, this is why one of the reasons why people are calling for a Bitcoin pump. They don't know why there's a Bitcoin pump. But again, maxis are marionettes. They don't understand who's pulling the strings. And I am telling you, that's who's pulling the strings. And that's why there's this call for this freakish amount to jump to where it's got to jump to. People are selling off MicroStrategy as we speak. Big dogs make big moves, and you're going to be surprised when a lot of the world shifts away from blockchain towards things of actual utility and purposeful asset backing. Another app I want to highlight right now is Hilo. They are in beta. Again, I think this is one of the ones I first showed off. This is Hilo. They are in beta. They're open to the public, so smash the link and join the group. It's a very intuitive platform that aims to be the first public utility. So this might make them possibly one of the third halves should they, gear up towards seeding of any kind. So I think it's a great platform for the book club and community building. As mentioned to a colleague of mine, ultimately they intend to build Hilo as a collectively owned and governed public utility. The best info can be had here at their medium.com/Terran Collective in partnership with Holo Terran Collective by building collaboration platforms. Hilo via Hilo.com is a very robust platform for community building. It's hard to ignore the HAPs gearing up for PIA4, Holochain, Holo. Hilo has been in beta since, oh my goodness, well over a year now. So, if there's any you know, understanding of, you know, where things are headed, they're going to be one of the breakout apps. I see it. They're a lock for lifecycle funding, if you ask me. Ultimately, they, again, as I had said, they intend to build Hilo as a collectively owned and governed public utility. That excites me. Beta baby. Check them out at Terran.io. Another app you're also going to want to be, you know, on the lookout for and eyeballing is the Kazuna Foundation. They're gearing up for beta's ecosystem as well. There's a call to come September. Fun fact: Kazuna Foundation is gearing up for beta ecosystem call to come in September. Fun fact: global telecommunication spending is forecast to amount to 1.44 trillion US dollars by 2019. So February 5th, 2021, VAM's GTOM's 4.2% CAGR, so compound annual growth rate, with a CEM of 17.5% CAGR. SME top down has high ROI play, a better reach. So why is this a special moment for Holo? Well, at Hilo, sorry, that's got to be a Holo. I got to correct that. So, well, Holo has been ready for some time. Public utility. Oh my goodness, I gotta delete this. Kazuna Foundation roadmap reveals its position for prototype 2 release, the host on Holo MG. Becky, look at her hap. Yep, Becky got asset-backed utility, baby. Hot US Diesel, video and calling. Can a Holochain do video? It does video. Strong like bull. I hope I remember to edit that out. I'm probably not gonna edit that out. But yeah, so now remember that's cellular access, right? What's on the horizon for the 6th industrial revolution is probably the transition at some point from 5G to 6G, and there's also going to be inclusion of healthcare, you know, and as well more opportunities for ION. One thing in as far as healthcare goes, though, the benefit of instantiation means that for even immersive realities capabilities such as Oculus Rift, you're going to be able to do, you know, more than just video games. But realistically, there's going to be opportunities at remote surgery, right? And I want you to name another layer zero solutions that's this meta, as far as you know, being the most efficient technology available, and as well as the most efficient transaction available. There's yeah, there's 400 trillions de raisons de croissance inexplicables. Oh man, my French is terrible. Forgive me. They teach French really badly in Canada, but you know, I can't miss this. I gotta get this. I gotta get this practice in. 400, and I'm bad too, cause at some point some of it's gonna sound like, I really hope I'm not. I hope this comes out in French. 400 trillions de raisons de croissance inexploitées du marché. Avez-vous entendu parler des crypto Holochain PIA 4 un cent milliards de raisons de voler? Now, 4, yeah. And alors mon ami, la chaîne des blogs post is ici, and you know, I'm promising you, I'm gonna make an effort to learn French and really study it up, because to me, if France is committing, you know, what they're committing, I see French, you know, being very profitable as far as a language of commerce and opportunity. Now let's talk about what didn't go unnoticed during the Canadian election. North America really is behind in post-blockchain spending. Most municipalities, right up to the state and provincial bodies, don't have real plans for post-blockchain transition to serverless states. Holochain remains preferred by the author and myself. And I appreciate Jagmeet Singh talking about abolishing data caps, because uh, market disruption is imminent, and uh, it would cease enabling the gouging of Canadians. It, for a long time, has stifled innovation and crippled economic growth, and data pricing needs to drop lower. It is what it is. Like, the monopoly has hurt Canadian innovation. There's no denying that. In case there was any question about my sentiments, this bull is running with the unicorns, Holochain, high use Dizzle, 30K, hot acquired. YPAS is a 27.3 trillion monster, 4.6 trillion up for grabs. Kagger is so sexy. ISV, SARs, SOV is most dominant. SCF, for example, supply chain financing on return of investment. So PIA4 post blockchain. Again, I'm speaking to different audiences, so sometimes this is how me and some of my audiences, have these conversations. We shoot lingo in abbreviations, and we're talking big talks, right? Business Insider recently discussed a record-breaking 44 container ships being stuck off the coast of California. Again, this is even more reason to be bullish on Holosale, representing an opportunity to resolve significant ship strandings at ports, including reduced demurrage and detention. Expect them to be a candidate for the Future of Ports 2022 or Future of Ports 2023. And yeah, for real though, name one exchange that promotes healthier economies, better localized trade, and commerce between competing bioregions. Holochain is so post-blockchain it hurts. I'll migrate to La Banque de Holo, first national crypto bank of France, 24 ecosystems and apps. And by the way, if you want to support independent crypto journalism, by all means, you can do it in Ethereum. You can do it in USDT, TRC20, so that's on the Tron network. Sorry. There's also BEP20, so if you want to send BNB on the BSC network, again, this is 1 hop, 15 hops. This is God knows when. You can also slang that holo if you want to send some ADA. By all means, I'm not picky. Just a wee bit gassy. But also to understand if you're hip to the game and you're plugged in like I've got an ENS name, right? So ENS is one thing. The Ethereum naming service is actually pretty sick as far as bridging goes. It allows you to send over 109 different blockchain types. So you could also send, instead of having to, take pictures of these and sending to, you could also quite literally just find me, via your own Ethereum naming service name and send right to BIGBLACKCRYPTO.ETH. And again, yeah, man, like, we talk about passing the ball, and I really do feel like the ball's in our court, and it's hard to defend the excellence that is Holochain. The thing about post-blockchain or Holochain makes utility a viable construct. Holo gives us the layer 0 needed to participate in the globally scaled economies that excluded us previously. Less stranded ships, less penalties, and profit gouging, reduced costs on goods. There's just more economic play when you put more economy back in the consumer's pockets. So again, just to remind the Business Insider, there's a app for that. Holosale Tech is the app that remedies the high costs on goods attributed to events like these. When it comes to post-blockchain, a solid choice for Holochain PIA4 is in Holosale's ability to reduce detention and demurrage. If you're new to Holo, there's also the monthly roundup. It happens at the end of every month, and they touch on, developments. They'll highlight apps, and it's just a great way to stay clued in and plugged into the ecosystem, because I promise you, as things ramp up, this will be one of the best ways to to regain and when I say regain, just to stay ahead of the information before you're getting it from different sources, so to speak. I enjoy just reading over and seeing really how far the project has come. They do this every month. It is awesome stuff. They really don't miss a beat. And it's honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat things with flowery language, but it's why I appreciate them and adore them the way I do. Another rendition of the monthly roundup is out, so go ahead and check that out. It's been quite an exciting month between launching the Holoport Alpha program and reaching new heights with their elemental chat. Read more about it, what they've been up to here. So I gotta plug that back in. I gotta put another article link to it. I don't know where that one went. And how does Holochain stack up against Cardano? It might be something for people to check out. It's the quantum leap of innovation velocity. Things that took decades of happening in years are becoming months. As of October 15th, years for Wave 8. Look at ADA and then know Holo is like the Eternals. It's only here to save us from ourselves. There's a link to the article. I hope I didn't overhype it. I don't think I did, but if you want to understand about the potentiality of Holo handling video and sharding and more, it is action-packed. I say Josh outdone himself here. Read it there. Now let's touch on market trend. You're going to see this happen in France and Canada next. All options are on the table. If there's a way to do it that organically leads to an expanded GDP growth, you'll see reduced work weeks, no loss in pay, and upskilling incentives to acquire the technically efficient populace needed to forge out a robust macro grid and the microeconomies within it through all verticals of strata from layer 0 and up there's economy. Spain just invested in their people 3 years, 50 million euros towards a 4-day work week, 3K to 6K people who've never had a chance to develop economic and social haps, more fulfilling livelihoods, and savings on overhead for business as new social economic opportunities emerge. So with that said, in summary, when we talk about market growth, we should always encapsulate market loss and opportunities to reduce. Shrink loss should be realized in size of market. Holo has had the vision and the world is recognizing it as the post-blockchain solution of the future. P.S. If you rotate your phone or zoom or expand your screen, it becomes way easier to read. Beat the maxis and enjoy a consumer report unseen anywhere else, as published, not for sale, not for free. Holochain, as pinned to my bio. Click here, Postblockchain, to highlight the viability of the industry. I wrote the first consumer report to contextualize insights and abstractions unparalleled. Now I'm also writing this article to break to you, to signal, to highlight. Yeah, I feel like I got this lazy Forrest Whitaker eye thing. I'm probably over it. To highlight to you that, a holochain is a post-blockchain choice. Sorry. I gotta end this off right. From when I edit. Holochain represents the foremost choice in post-blockchain infrastructure. It represents, the leaps in quantum innovations necessary to transition to the 6th industrial revolution. None of your maxes are going to have this conversation with you. None of these syndicated Bitcoin huffing and puffing publications are going to have these conversations with you. You heard it here first. This has been a breaking news expose exclusive from your boy, Chef Boyardee, aka Big Back Crypto. Okay? Y'all have a good one. And again, if you want to support your boy, feel free to clap that up 50 times. Make sure you subscribe to your boy, bookmark it. And again, if you want to show love, that's one way to show love. Here are my other socials in which you can subscribe to. Twitter, that's my personal website. That's YouTube. Again, you can also hit this link to get more access to it. Clap that shit up. Clap that shit up. Show your boy some love. Subscribe to the Medium account, because I put in work to deliver for y'all, okay? Lots of love. Again, if you're not following, follow your boy. Big Black Crypto over and over. Yo, oh my God. It's a 17-minute article. When you read this on your own, it's so much. Oh man. Cheerio.